What up? Welcome to the first episode of Conversations with the Champ. I got my mans over here.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Reg in the building. How y'all doing?
Yeah. And I guess y'all see the description. So today we're gonna talk about the Beastie Boys and why some of the younger generation don't get them the proper respect they deserve. How you want to set it off, Reg?
You know what? I'm so glad that we're actually talking about, in my opinion, one of the greatest hip hop groups and innovative hip hop groups of all time. And you're right. I feel like in today's generation, they don't get their just due. Like when it comes to the older hip hop heads, they will give them the just due. But today's generation, it's like whenever they think of right rappers, the first one that comes to mind is like Eminem, and the Machine Gun Kelly, which again, very dope MCs. But to me, the Beastie Boys definitely added that flavor. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they weren't just a hip hop group. They were like originally started off as a punk rock group. Then they played their own instruments too, incorporating jazz and funk and rock and so on and so on. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And they laid the groundwork for like every white rapper that came after them, such as Pete Nice and MC Search from Third Base.
Yes.
And they don't get the props they deserve either.
Oh no, that's another different story right there too. You know what I'm saying?
Word up. But yeah, man, it's just like I grew up on the Beastie Boys because a lot of people, like if y'all did see the movie Crush Groove, y'all know they were in there. And if you really paid attention to when they came out in Crush Groove, you heard a little bit of booze in there. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, why y'all booing them?
Yeah, man. I guess they just weren't expecting no white rappers. You know what I'm saying?
Yup. And then Mr. Magic gave them the proper intro and they still got booed. I'm like, yo, come on, man. He even said money making Manhattan and they still got booed, yo. But then, like, of course, they performed She's On It in the movie, which was included in the soundtrack. And I paid a lot of money for that soundtrack, too. It was worth it, though. And, plus a couple other classics. But the main song on there that stood out to me was She Was On It, and which wasn't included in the um, License to Ill album, but it should have been messed up right there, Russell.
Yeah. My introduction to the Beastie Boys. I'm not gonna hold you. I saw the Fight for Your Right to Party music video for the first time and everything, and it's crazy because they never really cared too much for the License to Ill era, believe it or not, because they felt like that music was not really them. They felt they were used by Russell Simmons just for like a white rapper plant and everything like that too. And then we all know the whole history between why they left Def Jam Records in the first place, money issues, creative rights. And so they went to Capitol, and then the rest is history.
And then they came out with Paul's Boutique, man.
Oh.
Which they didn't get the credit it deserved back then. But now you ask anybody what's their favorite Beastie Boys album, and they'll say with no hesitation, Paul's Boutique. No?
Yeah, that's actually my second favorite next to Check Your Head. But Paul's Boutique, when it comes to like sampling in hip hop, I always put that album and De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising. That's like the influentials when it comes to like the creative sampling.
Definitely set the bar.
The multi sampling as well too.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And it had like some joints on it, but I guess they felt like it was a flop, but everybody else was loving it. I even remember Cool DJ Red Alert playing Hey Ladies on Kiss FM back in the day when I was younger. Because Red Alert, he'll play anything. And back then, if Red Alert plays your joint on the radio, you was official.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they took a break for like 3 years, and then they came out with Check Your Head, which had like them playing more the instruments and stuff like that, And of course, DJ Hurricane was on there too, cutting it up. Salute to DJ Hurricane too. You know what I mean? Got anything you want to say?
Check Your Heads. Oh my God. So What You Want, Pass the Mic, Lighten Up. And of course, the infamous Third Base diss track, Professor Booty. Man.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know they was getting at them at the time, but if you paid attention, you know.
Nah, even Third Base caught a few bodies when they had beef too. I know they had a joint called on the Parallels of Dialect album. They got at them a bit too on that album.
True. But we all knew what Russell was doing when, like, he brought third base to Def Jam. He was basically trying to recreate the Beastie Boys.
Right, with the more street edge.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, as they say. And then, you know, in 94, which was a great year for sports, especially in New York, because you had the New York Knicks going to the finals, and you had the Rangers going to the Stanley Cup finals. The Knicks lost, but the Rangers won. But that's besides the point. We still made it there. And then, and if you paid attention to the Ill Communication album, which came out in '94, there's a lot of New York Knicks references in that album too.
Yeah.
Especially when Ad Rock said, "I get my hair cut like Anthony Mason," and I heard that, I'm like, "No, you don't. You bluffing." And of course, one of my favorite joints on that album is "Get It Together" with Q-Tip. And I heard when they was like doing that song, I think they were freestyling and they were like, you know.
Yup.
But if you really listen to it, it sounded like they were really just freestyling the whole time, like towards the end, you know. And then of course Sabotage, and I'll never forget when they were performing that at the '94 MTV Awards. Right towards the end, Ad Rock goes like this, right into the camera. And it was live too, so it was nothing they could do about it. And I still remember what they had on. They had on green suits, and like I think it wasn't fedoras. It was like Godfather hats.
Yeah.
And they was killing it.
And they had all shades and everything like that too.
Yup. And then I think was it Ad Rock or was it Mike D that came out there like after that, and he was like disguised in something. He was like talking in a like German accent or something.
Oh, what?
I think it was Ad Rock, because like he didn't like some award that like he just went up there in a full costume and nobody knew it was him except Mike D and Hurricane. Yo, Ad Rock is a funny cat, man.
He was.
And then, you know, they took a break for like 3 years. And then, you know, that's when DJ Hurricane left the group because he felt like they had to be consistent with putting these albums out. Because, like, he said in the documentary, I got a family and I don't want to keep taking these breaks. So I guess that was understandable for him to, like, leave the group, you know. But then in '98, they came back and surprised everybody with Hello Nasty, which is another one of my favorite Beastie Boys albums. That was basically like their comeback album, honestly.
Yep.
And then you got to think around '98, a lot of heat was coming out that year. So that came out like right during the summertime, I think, like June something. I forget the date, but I know it was in June. And, you know, everybody else was listening. You got to think at that summer, you had DMX, rest in peace. You had Nori. And then I think like right after that, you had the Beastie Boys. So when you think about it, that's 3 albums right there to hold you down until you start school. Especially at that time. You know, and then Jay came out with Volume 2 in September. But that's for a whole nother episode. Let me see what else. What you think about Hello Nasty?
Man, that album is fucking fire, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? I definitely feel like it was a comeback album, but what I mean by comeback, I don't mean like Ill Communication was a disappointment whatsoever, because that's a very good album. I personally feel like Hello Nasty grew on me over the years. I love that one joint, Body Moving.
Yes.
I love that beat. But it's like a very, I think the video version is a very different than the album version.
Absolutely.
And I love the video version a bit more. Then they had 2 turntables and the mic. That was another song. You know what I'm
3
saying?
MCs and 1 DJ.
3 MCs and 1 DJ. That was mixed up with the Black Moon track.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very more commercial album, but not commercial as in it will scare the original fan base away, because the Beastie Boys was always doing everything different with each album.
And the main thing, even though like they was playing live instruments and Check Your Head and Ill Communication, they still kept it hip hop. So that's why like I'm making this episode right now for these young cats to understand. Like even though the Beastie Boys was playing live instruments and like guitars, drums, and all that, they still kept it hip hop. They never switched up their style at all. And I could honestly say, like even though I hate to take it, even though MCA is gone, the Beastie Boys, De La Soul, Run DMC,
Yes.
the Locks, MOP, well, they did solo albums, so they don't count. I think they're like the only like 5 groups that's from like the 80s and 90s that stayed together and never broke up. Besides DJ Hurricane leaving, but they all like stayed together. You never saw them doing like solo albums or nothing like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the main thing I respect about them. They always kept it together. You know what I mean? And then what else? Then you got To the 5 Boroughs that came out in 2004. What'd you think about that album?
That was another solid album too. I admit I don't like it as much as like the first 5 albums, to be real with you. But from what I've heard, I actually enjoyed it. I have to actually listen to that one again because it's been years since I peeped it.
Yeah, me too. And like I said, they kept the same style. They never switched it up. And like that's why I always respect them. Yeah, y'all getting history today, youngins.
Oh yeah.
All right, so and then like they took a long hiatus because MCA got sick, and then he passed away in 2011, right?
Yeah.
And then a year later they came out with High Source Committee Part 2. I don't know where Part 1 is. Like I gotta probably look for that or something.
It got shelved.
Yikes.
Yeah, because it was originally supposed to have been like a trilogy, and I know the first part got shelved because I know they did a song with Nas.
Yeah, too many
rappers. Yeah,
too many rappers.
Love that fucking track.
Yes.
But then when they song came out, the quality wasn't as strong. You know, it had like a very weird sound quality to it. So I think they were trying to do some work. I know the Part 3, from what I heard, was supposed to be like an instrumental album.
Yeah, that's I forget the name of it, but I know what you're talking about.
The mix-up.
Yeah, the mix-up. Yeah. That came out in 2007.
Yep, that was cool too. If you like the instrumental deal, but
it's definitely a chill vibe on that album.
Oh yeah.
Just don't be expecting no lyrics. I mean, if you got some MCs out there that want to spit, then just put that on.
Right.
Word up. And then, like I said, MCA passed away.
Rest in peace.
Word up. Definitely rest in peace, man. And just recently, they have their own street now on the Lower East Side, right from where Paul's Boutique was pictured. And I was there for that too. And MCA said what up to me. I mean, Ad Rock said what up to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's history right there.
Yeah. Definitely. So they will be immortalized forever. You know what I mean? So I think I'm gonna wrap this up, man.
So I got a question for you.
What's up?
So what would you say if you had to rank the album from the Beastie Boys? What would you say was like the greatest to least favorite?
Oh, good question. All right, number 1, just for what it did for the culture.
Okay.
I gotta give number 1 to License to Ill.
Ooh, I never heard a lot of people say that.
I mean, like it broke barriers, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was the soundtrack to that 1986 New York Mets. That's why, because like they had a slogan. Their slogan back in the day was, "We're gonna go in your town, we're gonna drink your beer, we're gonna fuck your women, and we're gonna kick your ass." You can thank Lenny Dykstra for that.
Hilarious.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the Mets. Season's over now, but it's always next year. But yeah, so number 1, I'm gonna give that to License to Ill. Number 2, I'm gonna give that to Check Your Head.
Okay.
Number 3, Paul's Boutique. Number 4, Hello Nasty.
Ooh.
Number 5, I'm gonna give that to Ill Communication.
Okay.
And number 6, I'm gonna get that to the 5 boroughs. And of course, number 7, I gotta get that to High Source Committee.
Okay, cool. All right. To me, my number 1, Check Your Head. Very funky, like lyrically, that might be their best album lyrically. Paul's Boutique is always my number 2, just for what it did for the culture. You know, the sampling, how groundbreaking they were with the samples. Like these niggas were sampling everything from like the Beatles to Pink Floyd and even the movie Wild Style and everything like that.
And the Car Wash too.
Car Wash movie, of course. Hell, Chico and the Man, that show.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Number 3, I have to go with Ill Communication.
Yeah.
You know, I never really feel that album. It's like every time when people think of that album, it's always sabotage. But
go back and listen to the whole album.
Get It Together, Root Down, The Scoop.
Beastie Boys making it with the Freak Freak.
Yes.
And Root Down was a song included in NBA 2K 2009, if I'm not mistaken.
I remember. Yeah.
Of course, they had to edit out some of the lyrics. Morons.
Of course, because they ain't ready for all them lyrics and shit. Number 4 is License to Ill.
Yes.
I mean, that's a golden age hip hop classic.
Definitely.
Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin, that album, Raising Hell, Radio, and I call that his like Trinity right there.
Yeah, that's the Holy Trinity.
Holy Trinity. That's when he really, really, really was in his rap rock bag. And when it comes to Rick Rubin, I have a love-hate relationship when it comes to some of his production, especially post 1994. You know what I'm saying? But that's another story for
that Red Hot Chili Pepper stuff was fire though.
It was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was. But then the shit he did for Eminem's Marshall Mathers LP 2, that's a different story.
Yeah.
That's a different story. Then Hello Nasty is my number 5. Again, a well-rounded album. You know what I'm saying? Number 6, To the 5 Boroughs.
Yeah.
Number 7, I would say Hot Sauce Community. And number 8, The Mix-Up. You know what I'm saying? Those are just my top to bottom, their best shit. You know what I'm saying?
And you could throw on any of those albums today and they still go hard.
I agree.
Pause. Sorry, I had to. But yeah, man. I mean, shit. Want to add anything?
Rest in peace, MCA.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the legacy that you
fly high, my brother.
Yes. So you always hear that rough, grimy ass voice out of everybody. Like Ad Rock had the hype voice. Mike D was kind of the mid tempo, but MCA had that rough, grimy voice and everything, like that deep, grimy voice. So I like his voice.
It was kind of like Tribe, how Q-Tip is very low and Fife is very high.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Fife.
Rest in peace, indeed.
Yeah.
But that's all I have to say, man. It's been an honor talking with the Beastie Boys here.
No doubt. Word. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that wraps up the first episode of Conversations with the Champ. I'm the host, Champ. And it's my man right here, Reg.
It's your boy Reg in the building. Make sure y'all subscribe to Reg Reviews and make sure y'all subscribe to my boy right here. He's going to be one of the best hip-hop podcasters today. Just letting y'all know right now.
Come on, I'm trying to stay humble, man.
I'm just saying.
Word. And I'm not only going to be talking about hip-hop, I'm going to be talking about sneakers, wrestling, the New York Knicks. Opening night is in a couple of weeks. Y'all get ready for that. And, just everything else, mental health. So if any brothers out there got anything they want to get off their chest and come talk to me, just let me know. You know what I mean? I'm here. We all brothers at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Amen to that.
Word up.
Again, thank you so much for having me on this channel as always, man.
Word, man. No doubt, yo. All right. Peace, y'all. Be safe.